Steam Next Fest is back, and the number of game demos on offer shows no signs of slowing down. So let the Second Wind crew dive in head first to give you a heads up on what's worth checking out.
The problem with being the editor-in-chief of a big independent games outlet is that you get 1,000,002 emails every single day. So imagine my surprise when I opened up Steam Next Fest this month and saw that the developers of one of my favorite games last year, Dicevaders, had a new demo available to try, Dicevaders. Oh, and it was already available in the February Steam Next Fest, but I had completely missed the email in my inbox about it because I have 1,000,000 of them. Set in the same universe as their first game, Dicevaders flips the script, and suddenly you're the one doing the invading. Instead of being a traditional deck builder, this time the gameplay is done through dice rolls and strategically placing invaders with a range of abilities on the board alongside artifacts that help build up your army of invaders to overwhelm the enemy planets and pilots. What I really liked about Dicevaders was the amount of depth it had in its mechanics. Different pilots, lots of cards to unlock with different abilities, and tactical choices to make on the board. Dicevaders provides a similar experience with a lot of variety on how to build a board that keeps delivering bigger and bigger numbers to keep up with the ascending challenge. I have no doubt that this will be another numbers go up game that I'm hopelessly addicted to when it releases later this year on Steam.
About Fishing is a game about fishing, and not about fishing, developed by the Water Museum and published by PlayStack. It's gorgeous, eerie, and delightfully odd, setting its meditative gameplay in an undercurrent of unease born by a murder mystery storyline. In the tutorial, you play as a classic child in a yellow raincoat character, learning to fish with your grandfather's assistance, lusting over the curly fries you've been promised as a reward for your catches, and doing a bit of reverse fishing? Fish-assisted fishing? To dredge up the dead body of a missing girl. All classic childhood stuff. Post-tutorial, the demo flashes forward several years. You're now an adult in a yellow raincoat, gotta respect the commitment there, who still can't shake the siren's call of that fateful day on the beach. You resolve to solve the mystery of the missing sisters, and you're going to do it by fishing. For me, the game's visuals, music, and atmosphere are the stars of the show, but the fishing itself is also pretty damn fun. The mechanics are, on the whole, intuitive and satisfying to execute, barring a bit of environmental collision jank that I assume is a natural consequence of allowing players to engage in the aforementioned fish-assisted fishing, which honestly might be my favorite part of the gameplay loop. Attaching a fish to my hook, swimming towards my target, wrapping my line around it, and pulling it to the surface was even more enjoyable than snagging that fish in the first place, and I'm looking forward to uncovering more clues in this manner when the full game is released on Steam and PlayStation 5 sometime this year.
Everyone in your hometown has uploaded their brains into robots, possibly even your mother, whose body lies in your trunk. It seems like your sister is to blame. You're here to put a stop to it by smashing through buildings, server racks, and robots like a meteorite. Virtue and a sledgehammer is a mystery, but it's not one you're going to solve through precision and discussion. There's only one way to engage with the world in this game: violence. The sledgehammer has a quick push, a medium swing, and a massive overhead condemnation. Smashing is profoundly satisfying, until it isn't. Seeing a beautiful translucent snail, I knew the only way to understand it in the framework of the game was to destroy it. The cutscene that followed gave just a peek behind the story leading up to this rampage. Are these robots really people? Am I justified in smashing them? What, if anything, could my sister have done to provoke this? The demo for Virtue and a Sledgehammer packs more tension between violence and justification than most games fit into their whole runtime.
If you're ready to feel old today, one of the games that helped kick off the indie revolution was a stylish bullet hell aerial dogfighting game called Trousers, all the way back in 2012. And somehow, despite its popularity, we never really got a follow-up. Until now. Windrunners is a very colorful and stylish new take on Trousers, and I've been itching to play it ever since it caught my eye on social media a while back, and it absolutely did not disappoint. It immediately brought back memories of playing Trousers with a fresh new coat of paint with a lovely art style and backdrops, great feeling combat with a variety of enemies, and of course, massive boss fights that take up the entire screen. Also, just look at how pretty this game is when you're dodging missiles while flying close to the ground. It's one of those indie games that is just instantly pleasing to play, and the only thing I'm disappointed by is that I have to wait till September 23rd to play more of it when it drops in early access on Steam.
Bulbo's belief system is a side-scrolling platformer where you need to help this dim fellow named Bulbo find his own truths in the universe. And I mean that quite literally. At the start of the demo, Bulbo can do absolutely nothing until another character walks by, at which point the act of horizontal movement enters Bulbo's titular belief system. Bulbo is a genuine blank slate until he learns from other characters. You can move straight through obstacles until you learn about walls, and walk over bottomless pits until you learn about gravity. Each character you meet has a different belief that Bulbo can learn. He can hold up to 4 in his head at any given moment, and you're free to forget a belief whenever you want. The basic rules are easy to absorb, but the challenge quickly arrives when you need to juggle which beliefs to keep, how they interact with one another, and how to use them in tandem to reach the end of each compact stage. Using malleable rules and internal grammar as a gameplay mechanic reminded me of something like Baba Is You, so that's the kind of big brain thinking you can expect from Bulbo's belief system when it releases on PC this November.
Songs of Glimmerwick is a story-driven RPG developed and published by eShade Studios. You play as a witch from a village where speech and music, and by extension magic, are still frowned upon in the wake of an era known as the Silence. Desiring to hone the abilities you've been forced to stifle, you make the journey to the island of Glimmerwick and enroll in the Etchery School of Magic and Melody, where you'll attend lectures, socialize with townsfolk and classmates, fulfill requests, and tend to the Academy Garden by casting song-based spells. My favorite aspect of this demo was its charming and beautifully illustrated world. The vibrant colors, textures, and details made every area a delight to explore, and I could have easily spent hours just wandering around, petting every cat and collecting every forageable item. Fortunately, it seems I'll be able to do just that in the full game, as Songs of Glimmerwick explicitly strives to be a low-pressure experience. There are no missables, and the clock freezes every evening and during every important event, so you'll be able to play at your own pace and investigate the island to your heart's content. Playing songs to cast spells is an enjoyable and relatively novel mechanic, and I personally enjoyed mastering the melodies introduced in the demo, even though that's very much not required if rhythm games aren't your cup of tea. Once you've learned a spell, you can cast it instantly, enchanting your gardening tools to till fields, chop wood, and break up stones. After completing the demo, my one complaint was that the majority of my classmates seemed a bit too uniformly cheery and polite for my taste, but hey, that's the first week of university for you. I'm sure their personalities will start to shine more once we hit midterms. Songs of Glimmerwick will be playable on Steam later this year.
Anti-gravity racers may feel like a niche within a niche, but that doesn't mean there aren't great ideas to be found in the space. AGX-GP from Type 1 Games tunes the racing to be more akin to a Twitch platformer, throwing obstacles and hazards along your path to promote its unique movement mechanics. Ships can dart from left to right with a cool slow-mo effect if you hold the button, to reposition in an instant. They can jump between adjacent tracks over barricades and slam down onto the track from the air, all of which produces satisfying speed boosts that incentivize complex racing lines to maximize your lap times. There are a good mix of obstacle-filled race types, like hitting a number of markers over the course of 3 laps, or coming in under a set time by catching every boost gate on the circuit. The controls feel just a little cumbersome, as the game recommends gripping your controller like a hamburger to access all triggers and bumpers at once. But when you nail a sequence of boost gates and narrowly miss slamming into a solid wall, you'll be thankful there's something to hold on to for dear life. As of now, PC is the only announced platform, and there's currently no release date for AGX-GP, but its Steam page is pointing at Q4 of 2026.
Meaningless Random Numbers is a psychological horror gambling game. Like most incrementals, it's a game stripped down to the base molecules. Click a button, roll a dice, earn money, pay the devil. There's enough math, strategy, and chance to make the gameplay very grippy, not to mention the unique and bombastic visuals. The game turns up the heat on the horror aspects slowly. Earn bullets with 3 of a kinds and increase your fear and income by killing people. Do you try for the ailing old man, an easier but less rewarding kill, or the local celebrity? It's so laid bare, it's hard not to project more meaning on it than might be intended. But this is just a demo, one I had a hard time putting down, so I'll have to wait for the full game to see if this all amounts to anything more than, well, just meaningless random numbers.
Fun Selector, the developers of games like Absolute Drift and Art of Rally, currently has a demo out for their latest game, Over the Hill. It's an open-world game all about taking off-road road trips either by yourself or with friends. If you found the mechanical depth of games like the Runner series to be a bit too stressful, this game is the perfect answer to that. It's a relaxing but challenging game as you navigate your vehicle through a variety of terrains and environments, unlocking new vehicles, locations, and customization parts as you go. While it has a very arcadey and artsy look on the surface, the cars feel appropriately weighty with realistic physics, and there's just the right amount of complexity to navigating the environments to keep it fun without ever really veering into frustration. If you're looking for a game that really just relaxes you with some great vibes and light puzzle solving, you should definitely throw Over the Hill on your wishlist. Over the Hill is planned to release later this year on Steam.
It's just another totally normal day for private investigator Red Walker. His current job is tracking down a missing musician. And that brings him to Silver Pines, a small town in the middle of an evacuation due to a coming storm. However, the disheveled town feels as though it's already been abandoned. As a side-scrolling Metroidvania, it's immediately intriguing to build a connected map of hotels, diners, side streets, and sewer drainage lines, instead of the environments I'm used to, like a spaceship or a castle. There's a sense of familiarity when going through the streets that makes it all the creepier when the weird things start happening. The chaotic mixture of a brewing storm, a strange small town, and the mystery of the man you're searching for builds an atmosphere of tension before any monsters appear. But possibly the most unsettling element is the position of the protagonist. When monsters attack and the world stops making sense, he doesn't stay because of supernatural forces. He stays because he's desperate and can't fail this job for a reason not yet explained. While there's a need for some clearer signposting, the amount of spookiness they were able to immediately build and keep throughout a demo is a feat that got me interested in whatever else the devs can deliver through it. Add a mix of gunplay and melee combat, light puzzles, and gorgeously styled 2.5D environments, and I'm absolutely looking forward to trying Silver Pines when it comes out in October.
Well Dweller is a dark fairy tale Metroidvania developed by Kyle Thompson and published by both Kyle Thompson and Top Hat Studios. You play as Glimmer, who is presumably the eldest child in the kingdom's last remaining family of birds. At the beginning of the demo, you're tasked with venturing to a hunter's cabin and stealing scraps from their dinner plate to feed your family. Armed with a matchstick, you fight, jump, and slide your way through a charmingly gloomy forest, collecting new combat and traversal abilities along the way. As someone who played Crypt Custodian last year and enjoyed it immensely, I found the art style, music, and humor of Well Dweller to be immediately reminiscent of Kyle and Eric Thompson's previous work. Crypt Custodian's subtle tonal juxtaposition too seems to be shared by Well Dweller. The former was both playful and melancholy, detailing a deceased cat's exploits in the afterlife, while the latter seems to be leaning into the whimsical yet grim fare of classic fairy tales. As far as gameplay goes, the platforming in Well Dweller's demo felt polished, fun, and generally more challenging than I remember Crypt Custodian being, which makes sense given that side-scrollers tend to require more precise movement than top-down games. Glimmer has a bit more heft and momentum than I was initially expecting from a little dude with wings, but I got used to it pretty quickly. Except for the bubble gliding mechanic, that continues to freak me out, but I'm pretty sure that's entirely a me problem. My favorite part of the demo was its boss fight, which was primarily a test of Glimmer's slide ability. Getting into a rhythm of dodging the Groundskeeper's hazards was super satisfying and immediately had me looking forward to encountering the other baddies showcased in the game's trailer. Well Dweller will be available for PC and Nintendo Switch later this year.
Milki Delivery is a bite-sized time management sim where you're dropped in an idyllic farm town with the task of ferrying bottles of milk on the back of your bike. You wake up each morning and decide how to spend your precious daylight, delivering goods to various villagers, gathering resources that can be used to help upgrade your farm or bicycle, and reacting to events that pop up across the map. Each action costs time and energy. The latter can be regained by eating or resting for a few in-game hours, but once it gets dark, you'll have to call it a day. There are tons of micro-decisions surrounding how you spend your time and energy. Do you push across the map and make one last delivery for some extra money before sundown, or stay closer to your farm and spend the last hours of daylight scavenging scrap that can be used to upgrade your bike, allowing you to traverse tougher roads? This micro loop of helping out people so you can upgrade your equipment so that you can then help out more people is simple yet satisfying, like a pocket version of Spiritfarer. And as you can probably tell by now, Milki Delivery's anime vibes are wonderful. It's one of those demos where 45 minutes can just melt away in an instant, and I can't wait to make my rounds once again when it releases on PC later this year.
Dispassionately observe a doomed Arctic expedition through the eyes of a penguin in Penguin Colony. As the cozy-leaning title suggests, this is a relaxing walking simulator set in the Antarctic. But it's mostly relaxing because you're well-suited to the harsh terrain. For the Nazi explorers whose camps you uncover, it's a nightmare of cold, wind, and eldritch horrors. Along the way, you'll encounter colonies of other penguins that you can swap into, each with different abilities. The massive emperors can reach higher, while the sprightly rockhoppers can do exactly what their name suggests. The pleasure of Penguin Colony is in the movement. The penguin slide is so smooth that I enjoyed just finding my way in this eerie landscape. Although stumbling upon a group of Nazis having the worst day of their lives was a nice bonus.
I'm not usually a fan of arena fighting games. Too often, you get the style and flash of an intense battle, but lose out on any actual depth and tension. BREKEKEKEX from No Host reverses that dynamic. It's a bare-bones one-on-one fighter with no lock-on, no lengthy combos, and no cutscene finishing moves. Just a boy, his trident, and a series of mean-ass frogs to contend with. Both you and the enemy are incredibly nimble. Your character is able to dash about in any direction, and keeping swift-moving foes in your sights is half the battle. The chopped-up animation actually helps to make the movement of everything on screen easily readable, and the tight behind-the-back camera makes the fight feel that much more intense. There are some control quirks that could use refinement, as I didn't always feel like my character was as responsive as needed. And there's something downright dirty about the way the frog boss in Demo's second phase can stun-lock you to death. But I'm more than sold on this anti-arena fighter with a name that sounds like the dude who fucked up that Vanessa Carlton song. There are no release details as of yet, but hopefully we'll be hearing more soon.
Souls-likes are a dime a dozen these days, but the game that completely took me by surprise during this Steam Next Fest was False Hero. A new solo-developed, yes, really, a true indie game, Souls-like from Torchlight Games. The unique selling point of False Hero is its progression system, which allows you to acquire new combat abilities by defeating enemies. There's no loot grind, the combat is very fast-paced, and as you acquire more combat skills, you can chain them together to create your own combos. False Hero wants you to play aggressively as it uses a stagger system, and if you skillfully chain attacks together, you can really wail away on any enemy you run into. That said, even in this early part of the demo, the game was plenty challenging and had that great sense of exploration and adventure that any good Souls-like delivers. As someone who plays a lot of Souls-likes, game feel is one of the most important factors for determining whether I stick with one or not, and right out of the gate, False Hero just feels great to play. Combat is punchy, the enemies and bosses have fun and varied movesets, and the visual design of the world was immediately striking. Indie Souls-likes are often very hit or miss, but after playing False Hero, it immediately jumped up to being one of my must-play games this year. No release date just yet, but it should be arriving this fall on Steam.
The original Sinking City never got its tentacles around me. But hearing good things about it and being down for a survival horror game with a story about mind-bending realities that can flay our fragile meat brains got me trying the demo for Sinking City 2. I was worried I'd get lost not knowing anything about the first game, but it does an excellent job setting up the characters, their motivations, and the story without needing any information about the original. The landscape is linear and rich with details, littered with signs of life from folks recently residing in this hostile environment, and signs of struggle and death usually not far behind. Limited resources, well-placed enemies, and tight spaces made combat tense. Bullets and healing items were so limited, I had to switch to an easier difficulty just to make it through. The puzzles were simple, but offered enough context to the story that even finding a fuse for an electrical panel didn't feel like just another fetch quest. Despite all that praise, the demo had two massive issues. The game stuttered regularly, and it crashed to desktop around 8 times. And it couldn't play the second-to-last cutscene without crashing, so I never got to actually play the very last part of the demo. But after every crash, I relaunched it because I was anxious to experience what would happen next. While it needs work to become stable enough to play, which is an issue I've experienced with quite a few Unreal games this year, I'm fully invested and absolutely want to play it when it comes out in August.
That's all we've got for now from Steam Next Fest, but if you're itching for more from the Second Wind team, don't be a stranger to the rest of our weekly videos and live streams. Also, there's this Patreon thing that you can sign up for with a bunch of unhinged video game adjacent content that you might be into. No pressure though, it just helps us stay independent and feed our families and whatnot. Till next time.